Hello and welcome to an introductory lesson on Python and actually computer programming in general. Today we're going to be talking about variables, which is the basic building block of any computer program. Whatever you're doing right now, the computer code is looking up variables and getting variables to interact with each other and all kinds of really cool ways. So before we get going there, if you're not here, go to repl.it. Right up here in this corner, go to repl.it and create a login if you don't have one. You probably should have one by now, but if you don't have one, create a login. You can log in with Google. If you have a Gmail, just log in with Google, and then it'll take you to a page like this. You want to create a new REPL, so you can click this button. And you want Python. I also have this pane. This is actually kind of new. And so I have this pane, but you're probably going to want to go through new REPL. And we're going to create Python. And once again, it's always good to name it yourself and what it is. So I'm just going to name this Kevin Lambert Python intro. And wait for it. And there we go. So Python, it gives you a main file there and a blank line of code. And you can start coding. And so let's talk a little bit about Python. This is for probably a quiz that may or may not be happening. If you're in my middle school class, which is originally what I'm filming this for, yes, this quiz is happening. So Python is programmed. It was named after the Monty Python acting troupe. If you've ever seen a movie called Monty Python and the Holy Grail, that was sort of one of their big movies, and they ran a comedy sketch, kind of like Saturday Night Live, for many years. So the people that put together Python named it after Monty Python as sort of a tribute to them. And so Python's also a type of snake. However, snakes have nothing to do with Python. They didn't name it after snakes. They named it after this acting group from Europe. So actually from Britain. So yeah, one thing about Python is it is white space sensitive language. Which means that in other languages like Java, HTML, CSS, you can type your whole code on one line, and as long as you got the punctuation right, it will read across. In fact, you use punctuation to divide your code up in those languages. Python is really easy and readable because it uses spaces and tabs to divide it up, just like any research paper you write, right? It's like any book you read. And so that makes it a very, very helpful language for writing code, and you should be tabbing your code in anyway. That's just healthy coding practice. And so it takes what coders were already doing that wasn't all that important to how the code ran, and it makes it sort of crucial to it. So the very first function I wanted to show you guys was the print function. Whenever you type print, when you run the code, it's going to print it out down here. So we're going to say print hello world, and it's probably going to give us an error. Yep. The other nice thing about Python is it tells you what's wrong. And right now we have a syntax error. It says we're missing parentheses in call to print. Isn't that really nice of them to tell me exactly what I was printing? Whenever you use the print function, you have to use parentheses. By the way, that's true in most coding languages. Not all, but very much most. So now we're going to run it. And we got another error. It says invalid syntax. If you don't know, syntax is a code word for punctuation or spelling. And so right now, we are telling it to print the value of something that we have not valued yet. Print the value of something that we have not assigned yet. And so we're going to make it a string. Whenever in coding you put quotations around anything, that's called a string. A string is a special type of data that is for words and text. And so int is another popular type of data. It's used for integers. There's floats, there's double. Every coding language has and defines different ones. But string's the most popular one, and it's for any text at all of any length. And so we just turned hello world up there into a string, and we are saying to Python, print the string hello world. And now when I run it, it prints hello world. And if I change it to pizza, it's going to say hello pizza. So easy peasy, right? Notice if I say print on the next line, once again, you need parentheses. So we're going to print my name is Pi, is main.py, main.py. There we go. Now we're going to run it, and it's going to say, hello, my name is MainPy on the same line, which is really nice. And so that's your print function. Pretty easy. Just remember parentheses and quotation marks. So now, though, let's go back and let's take our quotation marks away. Once again, if we run this, it's going to give us an error. By the way, I want you to get in the habit of reading these errors. These errors will tell you what was wrong if you read them. This isn't as big a deal if you're doing this online, but when I teach in class, somebody will get all this text right here and they'll shoot their hand straight up, interrupt everybody, disrupt the whole class, and like, I have an error. And I'm like, well, did you read the error? And so right here it says name error. We have a name error. The name hello is not defined. Remember what I said? When we don't have quotation marks, it's looking for the value of hello. We have not defined that. So we're going to go above that, and we are going to define our very first variable. And it's going to be a string variable, and we're going to type hello, but then we're going to use the equals sign, and we're going to make a string, and we're going to say hello world. What we've just done is we have created a variable. A variable is a named thing whose value can change. Every computer program, like I said, is all just named values that can change over time. So we're going to say hello equals hello world. Now when we print hello, it says hello world. Notice if I change this to a lowercase h, it will give me an error because capital H in coding is very, very different from lowercase h. A computer program looks at that and it says these are two different things. Your human brain looks at it and says these are the same thing. I just forgot to capitalize it. But computer code programs don't think like you. It needs to be a capital H in all the places it comes up. Now, here's the cool thing. We can add strings together. And so now let's make another variable and call it greeting equals my name is MainPy. So we're adding that too. And then now down here, we can actually do what's called concatenation. I'll type that down here, right? Concatenation. And that is when you add two strings together. And then we're going to print hello, and we're going to put a space between them. And then we're going to print greeting. You have to add this space. I'll show you in a second what happens if you don't, but you have to add this space to get the two apart. So now when I run it, it doesn't like us. Oh, because I forgot the other plus. You have to use multiple pluses. There we go. And it did print it exactly how I wanted, but then it gave us an error. That's kind of funny. Oh, because that's giving me the error. So who cares about it? Okay, now it should get, anyway, there you go. Now let me show you if I erase this space, what it does. And this is why you need the space, right? Hello, my name. See, it put world and my up against each other. So we added a space between these two. So that it could say my name is Pi. Another thing we can do is we can add punctuation, right? So we could do period space. And then don't forget your plus. So there we go. So now we have a period there. So that's kind of cool. So variables, you're just naming sets of value that might change what you want to name it. So now let me show you one cool thing. Now I'm going to say hello now equals greeting. So when I type that, that's going to change this value. So up here we said hello equals hello world. And just to show you, let me print that out up here so I can show you below what it's going to do. So when we print it on line 2, it's going to say hello world. But when we print it right here, it's going to say my name is MainPy, my name is MainPy. See that? Because we actually changed the value of hello to now equal whatever the value of greeting was. Isn't that cool? So yeah, some neat things. So for this week's assignment, for the assignment that goes along with this video tutorial, I want you to name 5 variables, but I want you to use numbers because that's going to be easier on you. And I want you to do some math with them. And so I said name 5 variables, make them their friends. So I'm going to do Greg equals 65. And Tim equals 34, and Yolanda, I always like that name, equals 1,694. She's a little bit extra. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of names. Harriet equals 2. And then, oh, I said Harrier, that's funny. Harriet equals 2, and Peter equals 1,345,982. So now I've just named 5 variables and I've set their values to equal numbers, right? So now you can actually do math with them using the print function. So I'm going to print and I'm going to say print, and it's going to equal Greg plus Tim plus Yolanda. That's the first thing I want you to do in the assignment is add them all together. Plus Harriet. Make sure you spell them all right. They have to be spelled exactly as they are up here. No lowercase, uppercase, no typos, anything like that. And now when we run, it should add all those up and give me the sum. Maybe we'll get an error, maybe we won't. Oh, you know what? I said print equals. Ha! I forgot to use the parentheses. So there we go. There we go. It equals 1,347,777. Then below it, the next thing I think I wanted you to do was multiply them. In Python and in most computer programs, multiply is the little star above your number 8 on your keyboard. So it's not X as you would maybe think, but it's the little star times Harriet times Peter. So now it's going to multiply them and you get a massive number there. That's a pretty big number. That's kind of fun. And then I wanted you to subtract one from the other. So that's the next thing I wanted you to do. So we're going to subtract Greg minus Tim. Minus, you just use the the dash button. It's right next to the 0 on my keyboard. And there we go. Now when we run, we get 31. And then the last thing I wanted you to do was divide 1. So we're going to divide Peter divided by Yolanda and see if that should work. I think, yep, 794. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty basic assignment is you're just naming variables and you're adding, subtracting, multiplying them by each other. So pretty cool thing you can do there. So of note is another way we could have done this is instead of printing them line by line, we could have named a bunch more variables, right? I could have named a variable sum, and that if it's purple, that means you can't use it. So we're going to name it add. We can use add. If it turns purple, it means something else in the coding language. That's called a reserved word. You can't use it. We're going to name this one multiply equals. And then we're going to name this one subtract equals. Remember to delete your parentheses. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I bet you'll never guess what I'm going to name this one. Divide equals. And then below that, we can print, add. And then we can print multiply. And we can print subtract. And we can print divide. So what we've done is we've just named 4 new variables, and we've named them the values, the mathematical values of our variables above. So now when I run this, it should give me those 4 same numbers, but you just never know. Nope, I got to trace back. Didn't like something. What didn't it like? Oh, line 14. Oh, it should have liked that. Name subtract is not, oh, I put it, see what I meant? Typos matter. This is why I like filming these in real time so you guys can see. So there we go. I had an S up here. And so they have to be spelled exactly. If it's uppercase up here, uppercase down here, right? So, yeah, so that's a little bit of fun with variables, fun things. Follow along, and this is all that I want you to submit. So if you followed along, then you're done with the assignment. Submit it in Canvas, and I'll give you 10 points. You get 10 points. Just to help you out, there's that if you want to pause and type all that in. And then let me scroll down, and there's that if you want to pause and type all that in. So thanks for joining me. Hope you have a good day.